Hi everyone, welcome to topic 13, lesson 3. You may have seen in the notes that this is an optional video, and that's because the concept that you're learning here is not required in 8th grade. It's actually something you'll learn in high school. So I wanted to just show you really quickly, here are the standards. So this is the standard that this chapter is working on. It's the 8th grade 9th geometry standard. And so it's asking you to know the formulas, so memorize the formulas for volumes of cones, cylinders, and spheres and use them to solve real world problems. So those are like those word problem examples. But know the formula for volumes of cones, cylinders, and spheres. You do not need to know the surface area of a cone. But with that being said, I did want to show you how to find it in case you'd like to do this lesson, and because it probably will be on the end of this chapter test. But you're more than welcome to just skip those questions when you get to the test because it's not part of the standards. Okay, so let's start with the lateral area of a cone, which is going to just be the area around the cone.
By flattening and slicing the lateral surface of the cone, you can find a formula for its area. Cutting the cone 8 times, you will get a figure that looks somewhat like a parallelogram. However, the more cuts you make, the closer the resulting figure comes to actually being a parallelogram. Imagine that you have a paper cup and make cuts from the vertex to the rim to open up and flatten the cone. The circumference of the cone becomes the length of the flat figure. Separate the flattened cone into 2 halves. Note that each half has a length of half of the circumference of the cone, or pi times r, and the height is approximately L. The 2 halves will fit together to form a parallelogram-like figure. Even though this figure is not exactly a parallelogram, it will get closer and closer to being a parallelogram as you cut the lateral surface of the cone into smaller and smaller pieces. So you can use the formula for the area of a parallelogram to find the lateral area of the cone. The area of a parallelogram is base times height. The base is equal to pi r, and the height is L. So the lateral area equals pi times r times L.
Okay, so that's how you find the paper part of a cone. Like if you're picturing like an ice cream cone and the wrapper is wrapped around it, that's the lateral surface area, not including the base. And the base is the circle. We know how to find the area of base. It's just pi radius squared. I'm not going to play this one for you. But if we need to find the surface area of a cone, we need
Surface
both.
area, or SA, equals lateral area, LA, plus area of the base, B, or pi r L plus pi r squared.
Okay, so here's our formula for surface area of a cone. If you need to, which you probably should, write this down because it's one that is a little bit confusing and it uses the L. L is the word for the slant height of the cone. So that's this slant height right here. Note that it's not the height of the cone. Okay, and that's something that's important when we get into some of these practice problems. Okay, so here's this cone-shaped lantern, and all this is taking the measurements and plugging it in to find the surface area. So I'm actually not going to do it. I'm going to pull this up so you can see it. We'll talk it through, but I want to get to one where we have to find the slant height because that's where it gets a little bit tricky. So the lateral area, the area around the cone, is pi times the radius times the slant height. And they gave us all of that. So we get this number. And then the area of the base is just pi radius squared, 1,256. Add those two together and you're going to get 4,396. Okay, so here's that one. That's how I would do these problems. So you can go ahead and try this with this volcano model. So go ahead and try it here. I'll pull up the solution. Okay, here we have the solution. So again, just plugging everything in, pi times radius times the slant height, we get 75.36, plus the circle at the bottom, the area is 28.26, and our total is 103.62, which we round to 104. Okay, so that's how we're going to find this volcano or not volume, surface area. I'm hoping this is the one where they don't give you the slant height. Let's check. Let me go back to this one. Okay, so I just went through and checked. They actually don't have one where you don't have the slant height, which is great because that's the part that's really tricky. You have to use Pythagorean theorem for it. So on all of these, they're giving you the slant height. So the only thing different about this one in your Got It or in your book is that you are given the diameter instead of the radius. So you have to just keep that in mind as you're solving. So again, I'm going to pull up the solution here. Remember, you need to first find the radius, which is 2, then plug everything in, and you'll get 59.66. Okay, so I know we went through this really quickly. It's simply because this is not part of the expectations for 8th grade. So again, I'm going to pull up this formula because
Surface area.
All you'll need to know is this formula if you're going to do the homework for it. So just write this down if you'd like to work on this assignment. Otherwise, it's completely optional. And there's the formula. All right, have a great day, everyone. Otherwise, I'll see you in lesson 4.